Everyone warned him on his very first morning. They whispered it in the break room, murmured it by the elevators, and typed it nervously in the company group chat. Don't look him in the eye. Don't speak unless spoken to. And whatever you do, don't get in his way. The billionaire owner of the building was coming in early, and grown executives who signed million-dollar contracts were already sweating. But the new janitor, a single dad with tired eyes and a borrowed uniform, didn't know the rules yet. He just knew one thing as he pushed his cleaning cart down the marble hallway: if he lost this job, his little girl would lose the only roof they had left. Before the story unfolds, pause for just a second. If stories about unexpected courage, quiet kindness, and lives changing forever move you even a little, tap like, subscribe, and stay with us until the very end. What happens next proves that sometimes the smallest voice can shake the tallest tower. Ethan Cole had not planned to become invisible, but life had a way of shrinking a man. 2 years earlier, he had been an electrical technician with steady hands and steady pay. Then his wife fell sick. Then the bills grew faster than hope. Then she was gone. Grief hollowed him out, and when layoffs came, his name was easy to cross off. What remained was Lily, 6 years old, stubbornly cheerful, and clinging to him like he was the last safe place in the world. Ethan took whatever work he could find. Night shifts, temporary contracts, and now, this janitor job in the tallest, most intimidating building in the city, Hawthorne Global Headquarters, owned by the man people spoke about like a storm that destroyed lives without ever touching them. Victor Hawthorne was a legend wrapped in fear. He had built an empire from nothing, or so the stories said, and crushed competitors with a calm smile. Employees said he fired people for spilled coffee and cancelled entire departments with a raised eyebrow. No one remembered the last time they heard him laugh. His presence alone made the air feel colder. When Ethan's supervisor rushed through orientation, she barely explained the cleaning schedule but spent 10 full minutes explaining what not to do when Hawthorne was around. If he's walking toward you, she said, step aside. If he drops something, someone else will handle it. You are not paid to be noticed. Ethan nodded. He needed the paycheck more than pride. That morning, as the sun poured through glass walls and turned the floors into mirrors, Ethan worked quietly, thinking about Lily's lunchbox and whether the rent extension would last another month. That was when the shouting began. It echoed from the executive corridor, sharp, furious, and final. A young man in a tailored suit stumbled out of a conference room, eyes glassy, face drained of color. Papers slipped from his hands and scattered across the floor. Behind him, Victor Hawthorne stood rigid, jaw clenched, eyes like polished stone. You're done, Hawthorne said, loud enough for the hallway to hear. Security will escort you out. Everyone froze. Assistants stared at their screens. Executives pretended not to breathe. Ethan, standing at the end of the hall with a mop in his hands, watched the young man sink to his knees, trying desperately to gather the papers with shaking fingers. A photo slid out from between the documents, a picture of a little boy with a missing front tooth, grinning proudly. The young man whispered, please. My son, I just need one more chance. Hawthorne turned away, already dialing his phone. Ethan felt something twist inside his chest. He saw Lily in that picture. He saw himself on nights when he had begged utility companies for mercy. He remembered how silence had hurt worse than rejection. Without fully thinking, he pushed his cart forward. The sound of its wheels clicking against the marble was loud, too loud. Heads snapped toward him. Someone hissed, stop. But Ethan didn't. He knelt beside the fallen man and quietly helped gather the papers. Then, still kneeling, he looked up at Victor Hawthorne. His voice shook, but it didn't break. Sir, he said, I know it's not my place. But he's not asking for a favor. He's asking for time. The hallway went silent. You could hear the hum of the building itself. Hawthorne slowly turned. His eyes landed on Ethan's uniform, then on the mop, then back to Ethan's face. Who are you? He asked. I'm the janitor, Ethan replied. And a father. A nervous laugh escaped someone down the hall, quickly smothered. Hawthorne stepped closer. Do you know who you're talking to? Yes, Ethan said honestly. But right now, I'm talking to another dad. Something flickered across Hawthorne's face, so fast most people missed it. Anger, shock, memory. Get back to work, Hawthorne said coldly. Ethan stood. His heart pounded so hard he felt dizzy. He expected security to grab him. He expected to be fired on the spot. Instead, Hawthorne stared at the photo still clutched in the young man's hand. After a long moment, he exhaled sharply. 1 week, he said. Miss another deadline, and you're gone. The young man broke down in tears. Hawthorne walked away without another word. By lunchtime, the story had spread like wildfire. People stared at Ethan as if he'd survived a lightning strike. Some shook their heads, convinced he'd be gone by the end of the day. Ethan kept cleaning. He couldn't afford to celebrate bravery. But things began to change in small, almost invisible ways. The next morning, Hawthorne stopped near Ethan's cart. Your name, he said. Ethan. Hawthorne nodded once and walked on. A week later, Hawthorne noticed a drawing taped inside Ethan's cart, a crayon picture of a tall building with a stick figure man holding a little girl's hand. That yours? He asked. My daughter's. Another nod. Silence again. Then one evening, long after most employees had gone home, Hawthorne found Ethan sitting on the floor near the lobby, fixing a loose tile instead of reporting it. That's not your job, Hawthorne said. Ethan shrugged. Someone could trip. Thought I'd take care of it. Hawthorne watched him work, then surprised both of them by sitting down on a bench nearby. Do you know why people fear me? He asked suddenly. Ethan hesitated. Because you don't waste time on excuses. Hawthorne gave a humorless smile. Because I learned early that softness costs you everything. His gaze drifted to the darkened windows. I had a son once. Ethan's hands stilled. He died, Hawthorne continued quietly. Cancer. I was building this company when he needed me most. I thought success could wait for love. I was wrong. The words hung heavy between them. I didn't step in that day to challenge you, Ethan said gently. I stepped in because I knew what it felt like to beg the world not to take one more thing from you. Hawthorne stood abruptly and walked away, leaving Ethan unsure whether he had crossed another line. The following Monday, Ethan was called into hour. His stomach dropped, but instead of termination papers, he was handed a new badge. Facilities supervisor. Full benefits. Day hours. I don't understand, Ethan said. You made a difference, the HR manager replied. Mr. Hawthorne noticed. What no one expected was what came next. At the next company-wide meeting, Hawthorne stood on the stage, staring out at thousands of employees. This building, he said, was designed to look impressive. But it was built by people. And I forgot that. His eyes found Ethan in the crowd. Sometimes leadership doesn't come from the top. Sometimes it comes from the man willing to kneel on the floor and see another human being. From that day on, policies changed. Parental leave expanded. Emergency funds were created. Managers were trained to listen before they judged. Fear slowly gave way to respect. Ethan never became rich. He never wanted to. What he gained was stability, dignity, and the quiet pride of knowing that his voice, once small and shaking, had mattered. Years later, Lily would ask him, Daddy, were you scared that day? Ethan would smile and say, terrified. Why did you do it then? He would hug her close. Because kindness doesn't wait for permission. And that is the real power that changed everything. Not money, not authority, but one single dad with a mop, a heart full of love, and the courage to step in when everyone else stepped back. If this story moved you, reminded you that even the quietest person can change a life, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to believe that their moment to matter might be closer than they think.